we're bringing back the gem. Real heads know is the Griscom Economic Minute, which is very rarely a minute. But we're going to get into look, Trump promised a lot, and I think it's undoubtable that one of the messages in his campaign that was very effective, and it should have been easily parried by any kind of competent left-wing economic populist message from the Democratic Party. It's not surprising why they weren't interested in doing that, because it would mean confronting their failures and their donor class. But one of the major things that Trump ran on was affordability. Things in America cost too much, and people's wages have not kept up with inflation. Hell, we haven't seen a minimum wage increase in this country since George W. Bush, which is insane to think about. But
It's
now,
crazy, man.
now it's Trump world. It's Trump economy, and a lot of the focus has been on the tariffs and all of the kind of crises that he's doing at the federal level. No doubt that creates a lot of issues. But I wanted to point us towards three signs that show that the Trump economy might be cooked. So, first one here, lower income Americans are missing car payments. And this is a very, very big and major hit. So, this is one of those things where across this country, you are forced to have a vehicle. In many cities, it's very difficult, very expensive to get
Mm.
around without one. Almost impossible in certain parts of the country. It's also something that is a kind of long term commitment, and is something that I don't know might be a kind of like reach or a level up situation. If you're somebody who's been maybe struggling, you feel like you have a little bit more stable income. You might reach and say, "Hey, I'm going to get myself a reliable vehicle instead of the old beater that I've been driving, or the bicycle that I've been on." Problem is that when you start to see other parts of your income get squeezed, hell, you might even lose your job. You lose the kind of certainty that you have. Those payments become more and more difficult and difficult to make. Now, add in the fact the entire predatory industry, particularly in the era of very, very cheap credit, of saddling people with car loans that went on for 6 years to pay off a vehicle, right? Very, very high interest rates. So people are paying for their car two, sometimes in the worst case, I've even seen three times as much as the actual market value of their vehicle, right? Anyway, this is a major sign that things are not well in the economy. And it also is showing that this is one of the last things that people do, because like one of the most humiliating experiences you could ever have is having the repo guys show up in front of your house, in front of your neighbors, and repossess your vehicle, right? This is something that people do as a last resort, which means people are feeling less and less, confident in their ability to make these kind of things. The share of subprime auto loans is from New York Times. The share of subprime auto loans that were 60 days or more past due reached a high of nearly 6.5% in January and has lingered near that level. Repossessions have swelled. More drivers are trading in vehicles that are worth less than they owe, and lenders such as CarMax and Ally Financial have warned investors about auto loan performance. Despite stubborn inflation and punishing tariffs, the U.S. economy on its surface has appeared to hold up relatively well. The stock market continues to climb. Company executives, for the most part, remain upbeat, and consumers overall are still spending. We'll get into some of the issues there in a second. But I mean, this is one of those things that we're seeing more and more pressure, more and more people getting squeezed. And this is just one of those kind of early signals that things are not well in the U.S. economy. Now, this is the other one. And these are connected. Growing number of Americans are facing the prospect of long-term unemployment. This is from CBS News. According to Labor Department data, in August, nearly 2 million people in the United States face long-term unemployment, defined as being out of work for at least 27 weeks. That's the highest number since 2022 during the pandemic. The primary reason we're seeing long-term unemployment getting worse is because of economic uncertainty coming out of the White House. Now, let's also add to this worrying fact that Trump and the geniuses in his administration have been waging war on the BLS, right? Making it even more difficult for them to be able to get the information and do the kind of full analysis that we need. Meaning that particularly these kind of things, right, like long-term unemployment, are probably being underreported, right? And I want to be very clear here because I think a lot of times people besmirch the folks at BLS. I mean, the government data that we get, for the most part, the people working there provide very, very high quality and detailed information. And Trump has been waging a war against them because he doesn't like what it is, that they have been reporting. So, it's very.
Yeah, there's a paper or a piece this morning in the Washington Post. Trump says inflation is dead. Most data is that the one I read. There's one that goes into the specific way they're just going to fudge
Yeah.
these sorts of things by like are changing the start dates. Like we're gonna project out this way instead of
Yeah.
that way because it's smarter. That sort of stuff.
No, I mean, at a certain point, like they can paint whatever picture they want, and the fact is that like if Trump and his boys are happy, they're making money, right? That's probably all that they want at the end of the day. They are trying to, hide the fundamental reality that most people are feeling if you talk to folks, and this is probably too zoomed out for people to see, but that is long-term unemployment. But if you look to the far right, that is where Trump becomes the president, and I think I zoomed it in here a little bit more. That's where Trump becomes president, and we're seeing a significant uptick in that. So these are just early warning signs of what's going on now. Now, and this is number 3, right? So we have auto loan. Number 2, long-term unemployment is up, and 3 is debt, and it's going to get way worse than you think. So this is the total debt balance in the United States. It might be a little fuzzy for y'all there, but on the far left, it's 2004 all the way to 2024. The red is non-housing debt, and the blue is housing debt. Housing tends to be the largest amount of debt for obvious reasons. But if you see there, uh, Matt, is that going the direction that you would want something like that to go? At a moment where people are feeling squeezed, where people think that we might be facing a recession because of, I don't know, the global trade war that Trump has engaged us all in. Do you want to see that going up or down?
Yeah, it's nice when you're worried about the cost of groceries to also be falling massively behind on your debt payments.
We got this spirit box that says that is a chart for a Panikin. Matt and I are card carrying members of the Panikin party. Um, this is from the New York Fed. Mortgage rate balances grew by 131 billion, but let's get to the big one here. Credit card balances rose by $27 billion from the previous quarter and stood at $1.21 trillion. It does not say that here, but that is a record. So we have now reached record levels of credit card debt in the United States of America at a time, again, where we're seeing long term unemployment growing. And we are also seeing businesses, a lot of them are less willing to hire. They're holding off on making major decisions, certainly holding off on doing things like giving people raises and things like that. So, what does that mean for somebody like most Americans who are just living paycheck to paycheck? They start relying on credit to be able to bridge the gap to pay for expenses, to pay for things like their kid's birthday party, and all these kind of things that hopefully in a functioning U.S. economy and the greatest, the largest economy, wealthiest country in the world, would be just something that would be expected as part of life. But in this country, not only do we not get that because of the greed of the capitalist class, we also have a whole list of host of predators ready to jump in here. This gets into something outside of the credit card debt, which is a new thing, a new fun thing that we get to experience in this country, new debt opportunities. This is from the New York Times as well. Consumers are financing their groceries. What does it say about the economy? Increased use of buy now, pay later loans may signal shifting consumer habits, but could also be a troubling sign of financial stress. I'm sure most of y'all have seen these. You get ads for them. Hey, you want to get a pizza? You can put it on credit, right? And for many people who are struggling, it seems like a reasonable offer. Obviously, these things they're charging rates like 27%. Some of these companies I've seen in interest on these purchases. The fact that people are paying for this, not just for like reach items or special things or trip or something like that, but just the things that you need to live, is exceptionally worrying. That doesn't look like a functioning economy to me. Buy now, pay later tracker: 41% of users late in the past year, more using loans for groceries. That's from Matt Schultz and Dan Shepard. At
I like it. I like the hypothesis that this is just changing consumer habits. As if anybody would want to put groceries on the credit card
Yeah. Well, we're not even on
Unless
the
it was
credit
like for
card.
like
We're on like extreme interest rate too. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, I
right,
like your
yeah.
point
Oh
stands,
yes,
but like
yeah,
these
yeah,
are like
yeah.
even like more extreme than just putting on the credit card.
Right, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Um, an increasing percentage of buy now pay later users pay late. 41% of buy now pay later users say they paid late in the past year. Nearly 1 in 4 buy now pay later users say they have had 3 or more active buy now pay later loans at once. More users are buying groceries with buy now pay later. 25% of BNLP users say they've used the loans to buy groceries. That's up from just 14% a year ago. 2/3 of these users say they consider using it for food delivery, and many are putting their money where their mouth is. DoorDash and Buy Now Pay Later. Klarna announced a partnership that allows customers to pay for DoorDash using Buy Now Pay Later. More users see Buy Now Pay Later as a bridge to their next paycheck. We just got into that. More than 6 in 10 users incorrectly believe that making on time payments on Buy Now Pay Later loans will help their credit score. Um, so, 3 signs that the Trump economy is not doing so hot. But don't worry, the president of these United States of America is hard at work. Matt, I don't know if you saw, but he's doing something that will help all Americans in their time of need. Uh, he's been tearing down the White House to build himself a new fancy ballroom for him and his rich friends to laugh at the fact that they're screwing all over the rest of us while they're sitting pretty and living high on the hog.
You know, I have seen a little bit of that. I did appreciate Bernie, foreign policy advisor Matt Duss's response to it, which is that he would like to see liberals be a little bit more comfortable remodeling, which is to say, like actually like exercising power. Like this whole thing of like maintaining this stuff. The problem is it's being done by crooks, right? Like the whole economy stuff right now. I can't get over like the lack of rationale we have for this. The closest we have is Howard Lutnick. Is he a commerce secretary? Yes.
Mhm.
Who former like hedge fund investment guy slash Rumble owner, but now the commerce secretary. And he went on Fox Business talking about how the whole point of these tariffs is it's going to bring factories onshore, and it's going to be robots that work in the factories. And it's like he had no rationale for how this is going to help working people in America facing, like you say, like a cliff,
Mhm.
right? Like and I'm glad actually Jeff Stein of, I believe, Washington Post, who's writing a book on Bernie, pointed out that Bernie added a new line to his stump speech, which is about unemployment caused by things like AI and technology. And it is absolutely going to be a defining thing, just like housing has been.
Mhm.
I think that sort of unemployment is going to be a defining feature of the next, half decade plus.
These are serious times, folks. So it's time to get involved and get organized. Um, and
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 capitalism can't do it. Yeah, capitalism will not employ people
there's no
to.
solution for you under the current system.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
We need democratic and radical solutions. And that's why you should join organizations like the DSA, let's say. Um, Folks, we've had a lot of fun, and it's not over. Matt and I are going to talk a little bit more about this Graham Plattner thing. I know some of y'all probably heard enough about it, but we'll respond to some of the most recent news. We've talked about it a bunch on our Sunday show, and we'll talk about it a little bit more here. But most importantly, we're going to be looking into Mother Nature and what's going on with the animals because it's some pretty exciting stuff.
A walrus did something too, David, fresh off the wire. So
Wait,
we're just getting pretty real.
how do we catch that? If you wanted to watch this other part of the show, the post game, Matt.
Patreon.com/left reckoning, where you can support our endeavors at the low 2000 first Trump administration pre-inflation shock price of $5 a month.